I had a pretty busy week with various things, and so I didn't have a chance to really prepare for my homily as I normally did. And so this morning I was actually sitting here in church, and I was sitting way in the back corner over there, just so I could have a little privacy in case anyone else came in. And as I was praying with the gospel, I was able to see very clearly over, now you can't see it now because the sun's gone, but the fourth window here is the scene of the visitation. And as I was praying with the gospel and looking at that window, I then noticed the window next to it, which is the Annunciation. And then the window that comes after that is the incarnation and the presentation of Jesus in the temple. And then it's the flight to Egypt and finding Jesus in the temple. And I was just noticing then how many pictures of Mary we have here in our church, not just in our windows, because then you get to this side and you have Pentecost where she's depicted, and also her assumption into heaven and even her coronation on this side of the church, not to mention the statue of Our Lady here and Our Lady Perpetual Help. And then as I was telling myself to stop letting my mind wander and to focus on the gospel, I kind of was just thinking that our church is very Marian, and that we have Mary all over the place here at St. Edward, which is great. She's in our courtyard. The sisters have a beautiful statue of Mary in front of the convent, even a little grotto in their, oh gosh, what do you call that thing you have? Patio, I guess, yeah. Garden, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, sister. Beautiful grotto down in the garden. And so here at St. Edward, we got Mary all over the place. And that's not on accident, right? I mean, our church does not honor and adore our Blessed Mother just because she's a cool lady. And she is a cool lady. Don't get me wrong. Don't hear what I'm not saying. Mary is awesome. And it's because of how awesome that she is, that she just inspires awe, wonder and awe, that we see the fullness of discipleship in her. And it's through reading of her different stories, as few as they are in the scriptures, that we see more of our Blessed Mother and how she prepares us to meet her Son. And even out of the scriptures, and just looking into our very rich Catholic tradition of 2,000 years, we see Mary and her significant role in mediating God's grace. And so, friends, the church is Marian because Mary shows us the way to Jesus. And she shows us the way to the Father. It starts at the Annunciation, when Gabriel comes to her and asks her that great question that changed the world: will you be the mother of God? To which she obviously says yes. And then we go to her visitation, the gospel we just heard, where Mary goes to see her cousin Elizabeth. And friends, as soon as she hears that Elizabeth, her elderly cousin, is pregnant, without even thinking about it, Mary leaves and makes the trek from Nazareth to where Elizabeth lives. And I've been to the Holy Land. It was a 2-hour bus ride. So by bus, it took us 2 hours to go from Nazareth to, I think it's called Ein Karem. Father Macalone will definitely correct me, but I think it's Ein Karem, where Elizabeth lived, and Zechariah. And that was a steep mountain to drive up, and then our bus couldn't even get all the way to the top. The bus had to stop about 2/3 of the way up, and then we had to walk the rest of the way, which was not an easy walk. And she did it pregnant, right? So Mary, without thinking about it, goes to serve others. That again shows how close her will is united to God's will. And that's the Immaculate Conception, right? That from the moment of her conception, she gave her whole self over to God. And then in the Incarnation and even the wedding at Cana, Jesus' first miracle, Mary has a significant role in. And so we need to look to Mary as our model. She is our nature's solitary boast. She's fully human in human nature. She's not divine at all. She's not a goddess. We don't worship Mary, as many of our Protestant brothers and sisters say we do. We do not worship Mary. But we look to her to see what what it actually looks like and what it means to be a disciple of Jesus. We use Mary as a model to say, if she can do it, I can do it. Because she had no extra help. She always chose God's will over her own will. And so a great way to remind us of this is the Rosary. That's a great devotion in the church that's very old. And there's a lot of different traditions and stories around the Rosary, including that St. Dominic, that may not be Dominic, but St. Dominic received the Rosary, which we also have a depiction of in this window here that was given to us by the Springfield Dominicans, of Dominic receiving the Rosary from our Blessed Mother. Also another window that has Mary in it. And so in the Rosary and praying this great devotion, we see the stories not only of Mary, but of Jesus, right? All Marian devotion has Jesus at the center, which is another thing that our Protestant brothers and sisters who criticize us for worshiping Mary, they don't understand. That at every Marian devotion, Jesus is the center. Every story about Mary in the Scriptures has Jesus at the center. It's not because of Mary that John the Baptist leaps in Elizabeth's womb. It's because she's carrying the Word made flesh. It's not because Mary told Jesus what to do at the wedding at Cana that we remember that story, but we remember that Mary and Jesus are so linked as mother and son that if we pray to Mary, she has a direct line to her son for our prayers to then be answered, not by her, but by Jesus. So the Rosary is a great devotion that really helps us keep Christ at the center as we pray through the intercession of Mary, the model disciple, the person who we should look to say, if she can do it in her humanity, I can do it in my humanity. And so, friends, I just want to make this encouragement to you on this fourth Sunday of Advent. Christmas is right around the corner, literally 2 days away. That if you haven't prayed the Rosary in a long time, or if the last time you prayed the Rosary, all you remember is hating it, pick it up again and try it again. It takes 15 minutes to pray the Rosary. It's one of the many things, and I say it myself sometimes, like, I don't have time to pray the Rosary, it's so long. 15 minutes, it's not that bad. You could probably even pray the whole Rosary during commercials if you don't watch Netflix, right? And if you do watch Netflix, then just turn it off and pray the Rosary. It's not that bad. It's that 15 minutes ain't that long of a time. And then you can say, like, oh, well, it's so boring. It's just so monotonous. It's just the same prayers over and over and over again. Well, yeah, it's meditation, right? If you think yoga is cool, that's great, but it's just, all you do is breathing over and over again, right? Okay, well, it's the Hail Mary over and over again. It's meditation. It's supposed to be monotonous. That's why the Mass is monotonous. We stand at the same time. We sit at the same time. We say the same words. The priest says the same words. That in the world, that seems boring, but it's supposed to be monotonous because it's within the simplicity and it's in the monotony of doing it over and over again that we can allow ourselves to escape from the boringness and focus on the mystery. We leave what seems to be just the same thing over and over again, and we're able to look deeper into it and see the love and the mercy and the grace that God is giving us in these simple things. So as we bring our preparations for Christmas to a close and begin to celebrate Christmas, I encourage you to pick up the Rosary. If you don't have one, you got 10 fingers. Just keep doing it 5 times. And to look to our Blessed Mother as a great model and intercessor, to follow her Son, to become her Son, and to share his love with all those that you meet.